What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Feather Pen. Give me your opinion because I'm surely going to give you mine. I am Derek Hayes, your host, and I was glad to be back with you. I've been on a brief hiatus, had some business and community things to take care of, but so glad to be back in the saddle with you guys, bringing you laying some foundations of why I chose to do the Feather Pen because, again, I think the beginning of a thing is very, very important, and that actually helps me segue into what we're going to talk about briefly right now, but do a better rendition, I guess, if you will, of it later on. Hopefully tonight I can broadcast again. But just want to give you four key things of what I learned in that documentary, and then we'll discuss them later. If you remember in the last episode, I talked about this documentary called "From Freedom to Fascism" that really kind of got my engine going, got my blood kind of boiled up a little bit. I was a little upset about some of the things that I learned, mostly upset with me because I just figured, hey, I thought I had a good grasp on how things work, but since then have become more of a critical thinker and things like that. And so again, real quick, those four things. Number one, I learned all about the Federal Reserve System, and so in that Federal Reserve System, I learned that it was created, at least the idea started to come to fruition in 1912 on Jekyll Island. It's an island off the coast of Georgia, and bankers and politicians met there on Jekyll Island in secrecy. And to be sure, they did so because the idea of having a central bank, which is what the Federal Reserve is, was not a popular idea. I'm not saying that others didn't want it. I'm just saying that it really wasn't a popular idea, and for good reason. But that was the first thing I learned. Second thing I learned is that the president, while he does choose the Federal Reserve chair, he's actually given a list of names to choose from, supplied to him by the Federal Reserve. And you can say that's not a big deal. A lot of our positions are appointed, and I would say, yeah, you're right. That's really not a big deal until we get to number three. And number three is that the Federal Reserve Bank is not a part of the federal government. Again, let me repeat that, and hopefully your wheels are turning if you are just learning this. That's all of this is well documented. The Federal Reserve Bank is not a part of the federal government. Alan Greenspan, who was a former Fed chair, has said, no, we're a private bank, and the federal government does not have any kind of immediate oversight or jurisdiction or regulatory authority over us. And so hopefully you start to wrestle with what the implications are, and again, we'll get to those hopefully later on tonight. And lastly, the fourth thing that I want to share with you that I learned is that we have a fiat currency, F-I-A-T, fiat. It's a Latin word. It means it shall be. And so if you can imagine kind of a magician, here it is. Here something pops up there. It shall be, out of thin air, out of based on faith. And so what we have, again, it's when you talk about currency, it's a currency that's not backed by any commodity. Okay, it is solely backed on the relationship between supply and demand. So this is a faith walk here, because if the people or the economy, the world economy that we have now, if they lose faith in the fiat currency, it will eventually just crash. And so very, very important to know that our money is not backed by anything. Normally, you mint coins or anything like that, or even back in the day, you had the paper money, but it was connected to the value of the commodity, like gold or something like that. And so, again, I wanted to give you this little snippet to chew on a little bit, and hopefully in the next video, we can really begin to dialogue about, man, what did we just say, and what the world does that really mean for us? Because it has some real world implications for things that we see even today. The Federal Reserve Act was in 1913, and so since then we've began to see things. And I believe, if you want to know for just record, in 1971 is when our government said we're no longer basing this off of gold for sure now, and it just became a supply and demand kind of currency, and that is what the Federal Reserve delves in. And oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that when the Federal Reserve loans our government money. It does so with interest involved, and so we'll talk about the things that what that means for you and I. So I'll see you guys in the next video. This is Derek Hayes signing off, reminding you that this will remain the land of the free as long as it's the home of the brave. So go do something courageous today.